At Citi Field in New York, Pix 11 Sports presents New York Mets baseball today. The Mets play the Washington Nationals. New York Mets baseball is brought to you by Hyundai. The latest lineup of cars and SUVs you'll find at your Hyundai dealer aren't just new, they're better. By Fios. Fios is not cable, we're wired differently. Visit getfios.com. By the New York Lottery. Take a break from the unexpected. Play scratch-off games from the New York Lottery. By Raymore and Flanagan Furniture, furnishing your style. By Modell's, your fan gear headquarters. Come on, Met fans, you got to go to Moe's. And by ChevyOffers.com. Final day before the All-Star break, a gorgeous Sunday in New York. Perfect day for bringing the family to a game. Last chance. Mets will be away for 2 weeks after today. Last chance to find a victory before the Mets head into the All-Star break. And a pleasant good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to Citi Field. Gary Cohen, Keith Hernandez with you today as the Mets wrap up their series with the Washington Nationals. You know, 2 weeks ago we talked about this very difficult stretch the Mets would have heading into the All-Star break. Washington, Chicago, Miami, Washington, 14 games. Well, through the first 13, the Mets are 7-6, and they've gone from 3 games behind in the standings to 5 games behind heading into this final game today.
Well, the big matchup were the head-up matchups with this ball club today, the Washington Nationals. They lost 3 in Washington, so they lose obviously 3 games in the standings, and they're looking to split this series. Now they're 5 games back in this series. What is the importance of this game for the Mets? Okay, we got a whole second half of baseball left, but there is momentum, and this is if the Nationals can come here and take 3 out of 4 after 3 in Washington, that kind of sets the tone, and I think the Mets want to stop it today.
Well, the Nats have beaten the Mets 8 of 12 this year, and one of the primary reasons has been the otherworldly performance of the former Met Daniel Murphy. Another home run, another 4 RBIs last night. The Mets can't seem to figure out how to get him out.
Well, Daniel's come into his own, and I got to believe he learned how to pull last year, and also I think Daniel has learned to thrive back in that RBI spot in the order under Dusty Baker. He's hit him 4th, he's hit him 5th, and now today he's hitting him 3rd, and he's thrived there. He's got 64 RBIs. He's having a terrific year despite what he's done to the Mets, which is just terrific. He's done it to the whole league. He is right now at this stage of the season the #1 front runner for the National League Most Valuable Player.
And 19 of those RBIs against the Mets so far this year. The responsibility for getting Murph and the other Nats out tonight goes to Steven Matz, who was great for 6 innings against the Marlins his last time out until Giancarlo Stanton ruined his day.
Well, he pitched a good ball game and lost a tough one. 7 strong innings, 2 runs. He hasn't had a win since, ironically, he beat the Nationals when he won 8 strong. It's been 7 starts since he's had a victory. So he's looking to right the ship here, and it's much needed with the loss of Matt Harvey.
And Gio Gonzalez, since beating the Mets here in mid-May, has struggled even more so.
And he's 1-7 since he beat the Mets right here at Citi Field. On the other side of the coin, he is 7-1 when he pitches here at Citi Field. We'll see which Gio Gonzalez shows up today.
So the Mets playing their final game before the All-Star break, a much-needed game against the Nationals. Mets and Nats, all the action coming your way on Pix 11. Mets baseball is brought to you by Toyota. For great summer deals, visit your local Toyota dealer or buytoyota.com today. Toyota, let's go places. Get to Citi Field on Friday, July 29th. The Mets take on the Rockies at 7:10 as part of Piazza Weekend. All fans in attendance will receive a Mike Piazza replica jersey, courtesy of Delta Airlines. For tickets, visit Mets.com/Piazza. Themes of the game brought to you by your local Hyundai dealer. It's a Wizard of Oz theme.
It sort of is, but I might look at it in terms of the last game of the homestand of the first half and the last home game of the first half. So the Mets on this homestand have hit tons of home runs, a franchise record. You got a hometown hero from Stony Brook on the mound tonight in Steven Matz, and the new villain for the New York Met fans, Daniel Murphy, returning with a bang.
Toto, there's no place like home. Steven Matz, close to home, getting set to throw the first pitch. It's coming right up. Stars before the game today receiving their all-star jerseys. Colon, Familia, and Syndergaard will get on the plane to San Diego along with Terry Collins and the coaching staff after the game today. Cespedes will stay back here nursing his strained thigh. Steven Matz taking the mound for his 16th start of the year. Neil Walker again to meet some of his biggest fans.
I think this is really a terrific idea by Major League Baseball to have the kids out here on Sunday. That would be quite a thrill for me to have been able to go over to first base as a child, to be near Willie McCovey or Orlando Cepeda.
Starting lineup for the Nationals brought to you by your local Infinity retailers. Trey Turner just called up on Friday. Will get his second start of the year playing second base today. That moves Daniel Murphy over to first. Michael Taylor gets the start in center field against the left-hander. And there is said left-hander.
And there is Matz coming off a very promising start, and the hopes are that he's pushed through a little bit of trepidation in regards to his bone spur. Pitched a fine ball game last time out. He's in search of his 8th win. It's been a while for him. And the defense brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. And this is Southpaw starting the lineup here. So De Aza gets a start only because of the injury to Cespedes. But Lagares always starts in center field against the lefties. And on the infield, everybody's been clamoring about Wilmer with the hot bat, the 5 home runs of late. Well, he's in the lineup today with the right-hander up there. And a note, d'Arnaud behind the plate on Wilmer. 4 of those 5 home runs he hit were off of left-handers.
And gets to face the lefty today. Trey Turner leads off against Steven Matz. And the first pitch of the afternoon is low and in for ball one. Turner, the 23-year-old out of NC State, first-round pick by the Padres 2 years ago, quickly traded to the Nats, although they couldn't announce it for a year. And he hits one out to center field, chasing Lagares back. He got a late jump, but he runs it down to the warning track for the first out of the day. So Turner gave that a pretty good run that surprised Lagares, but wasn't able to make up the ground.
Speed is a great compensator, and he just runs this down effortlessly.
So one long out and nobody on. Jason Worth hitting second in the order, taking his sweet time.
Well, Worth is kind of having an oddball kind of year, hitting .250 on the year, .385 against lefties.
Second best mark in the league against left-handers. Just 1 for 10 in this series. Steven Matz won 7 straight starts after an initial bobble this season against the Marlins, and one of those 7, in fact the last one, was against the Nationals. He threw 8 scoreless innings in Washington in late May. That's hit the other way and a base hit for Worth, and the Nats have the first base runner of the day.
Worth not the base threat that he used to be. 37 years old, Garrett, am I correct?
Yep.
Only 2 stolen bases on the year. And we know who those boos are for.
So here's Daniel Murphy. 3 more hits last night, a single, a double, and a home run. He also drew a walk. Drove in 4 runs last night. He's got 8 RBIs in this series, 19 this year in 12 games against the Mets, including 6 home runs.
And that's a spanking.
Last night he took Antonio Bastardo deep for the 2nd time in the last 2 weeks.
And a fastball right down the pipe. No doubt.
So if you're approaching Murph at this point with the adjustments that he made, is there a place to get him out?
Up and in, low and away, Gare. The game hasn't changed. Toughest pitch to hit and lay off for a hitter is up and in with the good mustard. And sets up away. It's a nice breaking ball from Matz right there. You know, Daniel's going to get his hits. He's a hitter. And, you know, this is very much a whole new opportunity for him, a new franchise, a new organization, something to strive for in the middle of your career. And it's a shot in the arm. And a lot of guys have done this in their career, but not to the extent that he's done it.
Another curveball from Matz, and Murphy went around on the half swing. Tim Joyce with the call, and it's 1-2.
I didn't think that. Let's see. But I'm always partial to the hitters. I would not have rung him up.
Worth at first and 1 out. And another curveball. This one bounces in, 2-2.
One thing that Murph's done, he's pulling more. He's learned to get the barrel through, and remember how defensive he used to be with 2 strikes. He's gotten rid of that. You know, you're gonna strike out over the course of the year. I mean, Murph has 38 strikes right now, strikeouts so far this year, and that's tremendous. It's around an 80, less than 80 clip.
Always been hard to strike out, but you would figure that he would sacrifice some of that as he hit for more power, but he hasn't.
He has not.
Still the 2nd toughest hitter in the National League to strike out this year. Leading the league in hitting. There you see how many balls he's pulled this year.
He's only got 18 walks, but you know what? Swing the bat.
Yeah, he's never been much for walking. Up and away and a full count to Murphy with Bryce Harper waiting on deck.
Too much emphasis, I feel, in today's game on base percent. I agree with on base percentage, but on walks and taking pitches, I don't agree. When you have a hitter like this, even a guy like Harper, you want them swinging the bat.
Worth at first and 1 out. He's running, and Murphy hits the curveball deep to right field. Granderson takes a look, and can you believe this? Murphy hits another home run, a 2-run shot on a 3-2 curveball, and gives the Nats a 2-0 lead. 17th of the year, 7th against the Mets, and Murphy continues to ravage his old team.
He is doing what he did in the playoffs last year against his own mates. He gets a hanging breaking ball. Watch his front shoulder on the replay when we get to it. Watch his front shoulder. He wants to pull out, and then he just drives in. Stays in. Look where that ball breaks. You stay in that front shoulder, and that breaking ball breaks hanging. Breaks right to the fat of the bat. Wow. That is quite a display.
Well, Murph will not say out loud how much he's enjoying clubbing his old team, but he's just has to be eating this up.
Okay, there's his take back, stayed right in, and it just breaks. The hanger breaks right into your wheelhouse.
So a quick 2-0 lead for the Nats. 7 home runs, 21 RBIs against the Mets. The record for most RBIs against the Mets in a season belongs to Hank Aaron. He had 28 RBIs against the Mets in 1962, and Murph's now got 21. De Aza reels in Harper's fly ball for the second out, and Mets and Nats will have 6 more games to play against each other in September.
He's got 3 more, maybe 4 more bats here.
He's going places that few have gone before, much, and you noted that, as he did last October. 7 home runs in the postseason.
Right.
Homering in 6 straight games, doing it against elite pitchers, and it has proven not to have been a fluke. And that's pretty much what Terry Collins was saying today. He said he's made the adjustment into being a different kind of hitter, and it has carried over. Here's Wilson Ramos with 2 out. He fouls back the fastball.
Well, at least this year he has. And here's the home run again. Hanger. Right there. Full extension.
Tenth home run allowed by Mats this year in 90 innings of work. Goes away to Ramos, and it's 0-2. Wilson Ramos 3 for 12 in this series. Starts the day as the 3rd leading hitter in the National League at .331. Murphy leading the league at .349 when the day began.
I wonder if any of those 62 Mets pitching staff, with Aaron having that great year, knocked him down.
And Mats gets the call. The backdoor curveball gets Ramos to end the inning. But Daniel Murphy gets the Nats off to another fast start. Murph's 17th of the year. Takes Met pitchers deep for the 7th time. And it's 2-0 Washington before the Mets come to bat. Brought to you by your local Infinity retailers. Wilmer Flores moves into the third hole against the left-hander. Juan Lagares gets the start in center field. With Yoenis Cespedes sitting out with the quad injury, Alejandro De Aza squeezes into the lineup. One of two left-handed bats today against Gio Gonzalez. Jose Reyes leads off and takes a fastball for ball one.
Well, there's Gio. And his numbers, not a good year, and on a bad series right now. And he started out absolutely off the charts. But boy, oh boy, the last 9 starts have not been too kind to Gio.
After he beat the Mets here at Citi Field on May the 18th, Gio was 3-1 with a 1.86 ERA through his first 8.
You're right.
Over his last 9, he's 1-7, 7.66, and Reyes launches one deep left center. Taylor back near the wall. It's out of here. Jose Reyes with a leadoff home run, his second of the year. Reyes answers Murphy. It's now 2-1 Washington. Curtis Granderson broke Jose Reyes' leadoff home run record as a Met, but Reyes getting some more chances now.
Fastball meant to be away, came back over the outer half. And this could be another one of those days where the ball's going to be airmailed.
22nd career leadoff home run for Jose Reyes, who provides the first run of the game. Brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. Granderson takes inside, 2-1. Curtis is 5 for 10 in this series with 3 doubles. He's had a hot streak, hitting .424 over the last 10 games. And he hits one sharply, but right at the shortstop. Espinosa makes the play on the right side of the infield for the first out.
And after that nice play in the field, we'll go to the Tri-Honda dealers defense for the Nationals. Michael Taylor gets the start, just recently called up in center field. He ran out of room on Reyes' fly ball. The infield. Oh, that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
That's a highlight right there.
That's very obtuse.
That was so well constructed.
Oh gosh.
And the guys in the truck are so pleased with themselves.
Oh, well done. Now go back to your cave and do your jobs.
Dave Burke putting together the very nice shaving graphic. We've been waiting for Espinosa's picture to be updated, and we were able to update it right on the spot. That was great.
And Dave, don't think you're going to get my chair in the booth.
Wilmer Flores takes inside, and Gonzalez behind 3-1. Wilmer over the last 7 games, 11 for 22 with 5 home runs, predominantly doing it against left-handed pitching. And he takes the breaking ball low and away for ball 4. So Wilmer's on with a 1-out walk. And things not starting well for Gio Gonzalez after he was handed a 2-0 lead.
Well, you look at Gio's walks too. 35 walks, 1 intentional, so we'll give him 34 walks over 97 2/3. That's too many walks. Plus you add on his 102 base hits he's given up in 97 2/3. It's a lot of base runners, Gary.
But his walk rate, Keith, is about the same as it was last year when he had a good year with the Nats. Went 11-8, 3.79. Tell you what's different as Walker smacks one foul. Last year, Gio Gonzalez for the whole season gave up 8 home runs. With the one Reyes has hit in this inning, he's now given up 12.
12 and 11 to right-hand hitters.
By the way, Reyes now 22 career leadoff home runs, 17 as a Met, which reties him with Granderson for the most in franchise history. Walker 2 for 10 in this series. And that skips in. The ball on a strike. Wilson Ramos catching this game. Earlier in the season, Jose Lobaton had been catching Gio Gonzalez, but Ramos has been so hot, Dusty Baker wants to keep him in the lineup as much as possible. And anyway, things weren't going so well for Gio. So now Ramos has begun to catch Gonzalez. 1-2 to Walker.
Well, we mentioned in the Oakland the importance of this game, and the Mets are 5 back in the standings, and it's it's a whole second half of the season. A lot of games, 2 more series home and away against this club. But you don't, 4 games behind sounds a lot better than 6, doesn't it, Gare?
Not only sounds better, it is better.
Elementary.
Not being obtuse. Breaking ball taken outside. 2-2 to Walker with Asdrubal Cabrera on deck.
You always are insensitive.
Insensate?
I looked up the definition of obtuse. Insensitive.
Clueless. It's maybe better.
Well, I didn't mean it that way.
Out to center field. Michael Taylor has it measured. And he puts it away for the second out.
A lot of words have 2 definitions. I wasn't referring to you to being clueless.
Oh, I sometimes feel clueless. So Flores still at first with 2 out, and now Asdrubal Cabrera, who has homered twice in this series, 3 for 12. Gio Gonzalez in his 5th year with the Nationals. His first one in 2012 was by far his best. Finished 3rd in the Cy Young balloting that year, won 21 games. Well, this has been his most complicated year. That's drilled to left field. Worth will have to play it on a hop. And Flores pulls in at second. Cabrera with the Mets' second hit in this inning.
Very steady performance from Cabrera in the first half for the Mets. Both sides of the plate, that's right down the pipe, but both sides of the plate he has swung the bat well.
Switch hitter wearing number 13 in those 86 Mets uniforms. That could be Lee Mazzilli, but it's not. It says Asdrubal Cabrera.
Lee would have been painted in those pants, those speed skating pants.
There's Juan Lagares, hitless in his last 10 at bats, getting the start against the left-hander. He's had great numbers against Gio Gonzalez. And the curveball wraps around the plate, ball 1. Lagares 32 career at bats against Gio Gonzalez. He's hitting .406 with a home run. Flores at second, Cabrera at first with 2 out. And that's pulled foul.
A little over anxious.
Well, Terry Collins was asked, what does your team need to get better at when they come back from the All-Star break? And he said 2 words: situational hitting.
Well, how about hitting in the, well, that goes under the same banner of hitting in the men in scoring position.
Right, I think that's what he meant more than anything else. With 2 outs and runners in scoring position this year, the Mets are hitting .169, which is just dreadful and by far the lowest number in baseball.
And I had a chat with Dusty Baker the first game of the series long before they went out to take BP in his office, and he said he's never seen a club, he's talking about his club, that left men on third base with less than 2 outs. So they have the same disease.
Yeah, but the numbers will tell you that the Mets have suffered from it more. And the Nats are a team that hits a lot of home runs too. In fact, the Nats are the #1 home run hitting team in the National League. The Mets are second. But the Nats have scored a lot more runs because they've produced a little bit better in those spots. 2-1 to Lagares. And that misses low. And now Gio's behind 3-1. Travis d'Arnaud waiting on deck.
There's Dusty Baker on the left. I think that's Jock Jones, the assistant hitting coach, on the right.
Good spot for Lagares here on 3-1. swings through the fastball 3-2.
Mighty cut. Under it. And Tardy.
So that'll get the runners in motion. Flores at second. Cabrera at first will go. Gio Gonzalez about to throw his 25th pitch of this opening inning. 3-2 coming. And Lagares bloops one. Murphy sliding, can't get to it. Good effort by Murph. Getting his first start of the season at first base. With Trey Turner called up. Dusty Baker wants to get Turner in the lineup, particularly against a left-hander. So Murph slides over to play first. Ryan Zimmerman on the disabled list. He's the regular there. Clint Robinson started the first 3 games of this series and had a couple of home runs.
That was an option for the Mets. I know they were going over it in their mind in the offseason, whether to move Murph to first.
And Lagares strikes out of the curveball, and the Mets leave 2 men stranded. So the Mets settle for the 1 run on the Jose Reyes leadoff home run. After 1, 2-1 Washington. Local McDonald's today to pick up an exclusive Mets ticket offer. The offer is valid through the end of the regular season, excluding July 30th and Subway Series games. Seats are based on availability while supplies last. For more information, visit Mets.com/McDonald's. Anthony Rendon leads off the second inning against Steven Matz. Daniel Murphy 2-run homer top of the first. Jose Reyes solo home run bottom of the first. Rendon 2 for 11 in this series. And he takes the fastball inside for ball 1.
Beautiful day for baseball. Partly cloudy, not much humidity. At least it doesn't feel that way. But beautiful temperature.
Right around 80 degrees at game time. Perfect midsummer day.
I mean, it could be scalding. Sorry, Gary. It could be scalding right now. You know, we're in the beginnings of July.
It was just a few days ago. Got to 97 degrees.
I always remember the summers here being hot.
I promise you we'll have some really hot days before the end.
Oh yeah, we got August coming.
I mean, when we get to Philly next weekend, it's supposed to be in the mid-90s every day.
Okay, then you know Florida's going to be hot.
Right.
Well, we'll be indoors.
We'll have the roof closed.
Be able to play, no delays.
Wrigley Field in between that should be hot with the wind blowing out.
I will miss that series.
Curveball strikes out Rendon. Matt's leaning on his curveball a lot early in this game. That's his second strikeout.
Nice hook right there. That's the one he wanted to throw to Daniel Murphy. Down and in. Beautiful pitch. Let me see. I'm used to this. Yeah, that's pretty tough. I may have to take that one.
Here's Michael Taylor, who just got back from the minor leagues on Friday. Taylor played most of the center field last year and again early this season for the Nats. Ben Revere was out of the lineup for a month, so this is Taylor's 42nd start, and he really just hasn't hit the way they'd hoped. Hit .225 last year. He's hitting .225 again this year.
4 home runs off the left-handers this year, 4 of his 6.
And Mats falls behind him 3-0. Taylor now 25 years old, 6th round pick by the Nats in '09 out of high school in Florida. Tremendous athlete. We've seen plenty of that. And he takes inside ball 4, so Taylor draws a leadoff walk, and he is certainly a threat to run. That's what Mats has done recently. The last start against the Marlins, he was tremendous through the first 6 innings, but then Giancarlo Stanton hit a 2-run homer against him in the 7th, turned that game around, and even though that's all he allowed, it turned into a loss. But in the wake of the conversation, the incessant conversation about the bone spur in his elbow, the last 2 starts have been very encouraging. And the first pitch curveball to Espinosa for a strike. I think he's really learned a lesson about knowing his body a little better and knowing that there are going to be times when he has to pitch through discomfort.
I mean, you always have the option to get a second opinion from a doctor outside of the team doctor.
Espinosa hits it sharply into center field, his first hit in this series. Taylor pulls in at second. Espinosa, who came into the series red hot, had gone 0 for 11 with 8 strikeouts in this series before that base hit.
High ball hitter, right-handed, and gets a high ball. He really stays on top of that high pitch. And look at the level shoulders and the bat following the angle of the shoulders, stays parallel to the ground and makes you a good high ball hitter. You drop that back shoulder, you're not going to hit that high pitch. A bunt situation here.
Gonzalez 3 hits, 3 sacrifices this year.
A new position for Jose Reyes, a bunt situation, all unfamiliar to him.
A very fast man at second in Taylor.
So you want to bunt down the third base line. It's baseball 101. I'm not telling you Met fans out there anything you don't know.
Right back to Mats, has a play at third and gets the force. No relay by Reyes. He might have had a chance for Gonzalez, but I don't think he was even thinking about throwing that ball to first base, and I think he's a little upset with himself. They get the force on Taylor for the second out.
Well, not a good bunt. Right back to the pitcher, not deadened in the slightest. Routine. And again, the unfamiliarity of a new position here. And I think you're right, Gary, that it didn't click in Jose's mind that a potential for a double play until it was too late.
So now 2 out and 2 on. Trey Turner, the batter. Runner goes from second, and the curveball outside, and Espinosa steals third without a throw. Gonzalez, the runner at first, didn't follow, but Espinosa got a huge jump, his 5th stolen base of the year.
Well, the Mets have been much better at holding runners on, but where's everybody? No, they just give me. I mean, if you're going to play Cabrera way over for the pull, then you got to get Walker over to keep him a little honest. But that was just a gimme.
12th stolen base Mats is allowed this year. So now runners at the corners with 2 out. And Turner drops a bunt down, foul. 2 out bunt for a hit by Trey Turner, who hit one to the warning track his first time up.
Well, you got what we said, Jose over at third base. And he's been playing a very deep third base, Gary, when he can. Not now. But that's a normal position he's playing at third base as far as positioning on the field.
Well, remember, Turner in the batter's box, extremely fast. Changeup outside, 2-1.
And we've seen Jose with 2 strikes playing around 10 feet deeper down that third base line, almost to the outfield grass.
Even so, where he is, he's almost daring Turner to bunt with his wheels. And Turner gets under one to left center, hit pretty well. Back goes De Aza with Lagares, and Lagares gets to it on the warning track to end the inning. So Matt strands a couple. Can of corn for the Gold Glover. 2-1 Nats in the second.
Domani.
Ball is brought to you by Modell's, your fan gear headquarters. Come on, Met fans, you got to go to Moe's. Partly cloudy skies. Gorgeous day in New York. Mets down 2-1 as they come to bat in the home second. Travis d'Arnaud leads off against Gio Gonzalez. Travis 1 for 8 in this series. The one hit was a long home run to center field. d'Arnaud, De Aza, and Matz against Gonzalez in the second. And Gio fires a fastball low. Mets are facing Gio for the third time this year. He faced them in back-to-back starts back in May. And those two starts could not have gone more differently. The first one here in New York, he went 6 1/3, allowed 1 run. The next one, 5 days later in Washington, he gave up 3 home runs, 7 runs in 5 innings.
El Caban.
And that's drilled to center field, but Taylor has it lined up. And d'Arnaud retired, 1 away. But this has been a venue where Gio has pitched very well. He's been very successful at Citi Field. 7-1 with a 1.55 ERA in 12 starts here. And it just so happened that its last good start came here a month and a half ago.
He got a win in Cincinnati a couple starts ago. Not Cincinnati, I'm sorry. Yeah, it was Cincinnati. But it was 4 runs in 6 innings. You can't say it was a sterling effort.
Right. Here's Alejandro De Aza, who started last night, was on base 3 times, 2 hits and a walk, and getting a rare start against the lefty. He only has 14 at bats against left-handers this year, but with Yoenis Cespedes unavailable today with a strained quad, De Aza shoehorned into the lineup, and he banged that one off his leg.
Of all the guys in the Mets lineup that you can't have down, it's Cespedes. He is one of the best players in the game. A real true power hitting slugger.
Right off his shin. Well, Cespedes' injury is bad enough that he's not even going to go to San Diego for the All-Star game.
So he's just going to get treatment.
Yeah, it just makes you think that it's not good.
Yeah, Terry Collins said right now they're not thinking about the disabled list for Cespedes, but it's going to be iffy, I think, as to whether he'll be ready to play when the Mets reconvene on Friday in Philly. De Aza gets back in after hitting that ball off his shin. Takes it high, 1-2.
Always remember what Ronnie said, that after you have kind of a shaky first inning, or usually the second inning, you can regroup off the bottom third of the order, and certainly sets up for Gonzalez here.
Well, we saw that last night with Max Scherzer, right? The Mets had a huge opportunity in the first inning against Scherzer, second and third and nobody out. Managed just one run, let him off the hook, and then Scherzer settled in and was brilliant the rest of the way. And the curveball misses to De Aza, so after getting ahead 0-2, Gio goes 3-2 on the number 8 hitter with Matz on deck. Well, the last two nights, the Mets have run into tremendous starting pitching. There's a young Steven Matz fan. Strasburg and then Scherzer were both great.
Another one
off his leg.
He keeps swinging at that hard sinker,
and that one really hurt. Might have been his knee that time.
No, it looks like he's grabbing his calf. Whether he got his shin or not.
Was it the same spot?
Let's see. Oh, knee.
Yeah, inside of the knee.
That's why it hurts. Oh, that's not good. That'll buckle your world.
That's 2 bruises in a short period of time in the same general vicinity, but that one was in a really bad spot.
First one right here. Oh gosh, we got a back-to-back.
Yeah.
Oh.
First one was just below the knee, and this one right off the inside.
What did I do to deserve this? How can I make it up to you?
So you want to play against lefties, huh? And it's been a painful year in a lot of ways for Alejandro De Aza.
Boy, oh boy.
The last thing in the world he wants to do is come out.
Same spot. Oof. Okay, so let's lay off that bad fastball running in on your hands, because you're going to do it again.
That gives us a chance to look at the Mets health report, brought to you by Affinity Health Plan, serving the needs of New Yorkers for over 30 years. You already know about Syndergaard. Cespedes missing the All-Star game. Craig Kimbrell torn meniscus, and the Red Sox acquired Brad Ziegler from the Diamondbacks to replace him. Carlos Rodon slips on the dugout steps for the White Sox. He's out. Ced De Aza, for the second time this at bat, will get back in after taking a hard foul ball off his leg. And he's on base. That was quite a hard one walk for De Aza. The second one given up by Gio Gonzalez. And Gio, just not the same guy we saw earlier in the year. He was 0-2 on the number 8 hitter, and he ends up walking De Aza. And now Steven Matz, and we'll see how the Mets choose to play it.
Well, from a defensive standpoint, with the Mets starting rotation that all can pretty much swing the bat, particularly Matz, Syndergaard, you cannot be overly aggressive charging, particularly on the first strike, even though Matz is squared around. That just shows me right now the importance of this game, how important Terry Collins feels this game is, to get a split here at home. Lick your wounds, get your wounded healthy, and get ready for the second half.
With a lefty on the mound, I'm shocked he's bunting. I bet he's swinging now. Ball and strike. I think that first bunt was just to draw Rendon in.
You got to be in anyway, but you can't charge aggressively.
So bunt was on first pitch, not the second pitch. Reyes on deck. That's 5 hits this year, including a double and a triple. And takes a rip at a fastball away, 1-2.
You're not getting a rip. He's got a good swing, and he takes a cut.
He even burst on the scene a little over a year ago with one of the greatest hitting performances by any pitcher in his major league debut.
No kidding. How about the Pirates hitters last night? There were a couple kids that hit home runs.
Josh Bell in his second big league at bat hit a grand slam that almost went in the river.
Yes.
And Johnny Lester got beat up for the second straight start, and the Pirates were 14 games out 10 days ago. They have made up 7.5 games in 10 days.
Check out the last 10.
Slowly hit. Turner throws to first. Now they have to go for the tag on De Aza, and he's out. Beautifully handled by the rookie Trey Turner. 4-3-6 double play ends the inning. Made De Aza stop, got the out at first, and by the time De Aza running on that sore leg restarted, they were able to get the tag play at second. Can't do that any better.
Got to knock the second baseman on his fanny.
Nobody does that anymore.
Confounded.
Maybe they should.
Drat.
Jason Worth leads off against Steven Matz, who gave up 2 runs in the first and got into and out of trouble in the second. Worth singled to right and scored in front of Murphy's home run in the first, and the curveball misses outside for ball 1. Murphy and Harper to follow after Worth here in the third, and Matz behind him 2-0.
Throwing hard, Steven.
And now 3-0. There's no sense working out of the strike zone against Worth.
No.
Sees more pitches per plate appearance than just about anybody in the game.
He's only got 42 walks, which is not going to be 100 on the year. But he loves to work the count. I think too much. I think he's taken hitting in that 2-hole a little bit too seriously.
And he's on with a leadoff walk in front of Murphy, the last thing in the world that Matz wanted to do. And so Murph, who hit another home run his first time up today on a 3-2 curveball to give the Nats the early lead, will get another crack.
Boos resound, but they're friendly boos.
So how about this? Daniel Murphy, as a Met against the Nats, had 382 at bats and hit 6 home runs. Against the Mets, in 49 at bats, he had 7 home runs.
Well, he had 7 home runs in a row in the postseason.
So he's had, about less than a seventh as many at bats against Washington, against the Mets, than he had against Washington, and he has more home runs. Craziness.
You never know. Notice where he's pitching Murph this time. Look at the outfield defense. They're got him covered in left field, leaving a big left central gap. After you've taken a pitcher deep, I used to always like to look away and go in the opposite field gap, and they're just laying that gap wide open for Murph, which he took advantage of with a double the other night. RBI double.
Ooh, Matz goosed the throw to first, and Flores has to pick it out of the dirt.
So first two pitches, fastballs away.
It was against Syndergaard to hit that ball to left center the other night.
It was Murph wanting the new ball to hit the dirt.
Well, the numbers are just getting staggering. Too low. 2-1.
Good pitch to hit. Good pitch for a pitcher to stay away from you. Then just kind of what I would do if I was up at the plate would be going on and through my mind how to approach this pitch, how to attack.
2-1 coming, and Murph fouls, tips the fastball. 2-2.
And it was going for the downs there, and the ball was up and away. And it was tardy. The overswung. You got to be careful when you swing for the downs not to overswing. Now watch Murph go to hitting. He's just having that kind of year. He's always been a good two-strike hitter.
There goes Worth, and it's skimmed on the ground to third. Reyes will have to come get it, and throws out Murphy. So Worth in motion on the pitch. That kept them out of the double play. As Cabrera went to cover the bag, that left Reyes to come over and get the ground ball.
Well, watch Worth here. And that's a good pitch. Get Murph out inside with 2 strikes. Worth is waiting for Jose to throw the ball, and third base was vacated, but alertly d'Arnaud covered third base from the home plate area and put an end to that. And he was ready to go. And he was thinking of it.
Well, remember, that's the kind of play where Murph took third base against the Dodgers in that pivotal Game 5 last year, where they left it uncovered in the shift.
Worth's a good base runner.
Now he takes off for third. The throw by d'Arnaud, and Worth steals third.
Okay.
Second time in this game the Nats have stolen third base. Espinosa did it in the second, and now Worth does it, his third stolen base of the year.
You let him get a walking lead. Can't let them do this. d'Arnaud had no shot to throw him out. Thrown from his knees. You got to start guarding runners, holding them on. It seems like Washington really smells the blood in the water. They want 3 out of 4 here.
Well, we've talked about this before. You go back to the very first spring training game the Mets played this year. It was against the Nats in Vieira, and in the first inning Dusty Baker was sending runners to set a tone, and the Nats have not stopped running against the Mets since.
Just can't let that happen.
3-0 now to Harper with Ramos on deck. Let's see if they put him on here and set up the double play with Ramos.
No. I tell you what, Ramos to me is a new force in the league. He's come into his own. He scares me at the plate.
And there's ball 4, so Ramos will come up with first and third. Third walk given up by Matz, second in this inning. Now Matz normally tremendous control, 19 walks in 89 innings coming into the day.
I don't think he wanted any part of Harper. I would have gone after him just because Harper, we met somehow get him out.
Well, what you have to be wary of here is the stolen base. Harper stole 2 bases last night. You got to keep the double play in order with Ramos, because if he hits on the ground, he's almost an automatic double play.
13 stolen bags to be exact, and you've got a very powerful hitter up here right now in Wilson Ramos. He loves to go to right center field. Mets outfield is shaded to the opposite field.
3 for 13 in this series after he went down looking his first time up. Worth at third, Harper at first, and 1 out. And Matz will check in on Harper.
You've got to pitch Ramos in. You let him extend his hands. He swings a lot like Andres Galarraga, which is an enormous compliment. He drives the ball into right center field, the opposite field, naturally. So you've got to crowd him. Stands way off the plate and deep in the box.
Harper's got a pretty healthy lead, not going, and it's up and away to Ramos. Ramos starts today, third in the National League in batting.
Real Muto is a surprise, is he not?
LeMahieu is a bit of a surprise.
Yeah.
Matt steps off, chasing Harper back. I think you could certainly say Wilson Ramos is a surprise after hitting .229 last year.
He's healthy. We've always liked him.
That's clubbed out to right center field. Back in the gap goes Lagares. He won't get there. Worth is in. Harper racing for third. The throw is offline coming in, but Cabrera will throw it home, and they've got Harper to run down. And Reyes puts the tag on Harper for the second out, but a run comes home on the base hit by Ramos to make it 3-1 Washington. The throw coming in from Lagares was terrible, which is why they sent Harper, but Cabrera recovered it and made the play to the plate.
You see, they did pitch him in, but he's so strong, so far off the plate. Now, the big turn is held up by third base coach Dan Henley, Bob Henley, excuse me, incorrectly, because you cannot anticipate a bad throw. Now, Harper just gets a little bit too carried away, makes his own decision on the bad throw, and that's a poor choice. He took his team out of a big inning.
So it's a single and RBI for Ramos. Play goes 8-6-2-5 on Harper for the second out. Ramos moved to second on the throw home. And now Rendon up with 2 out and a runner at second. Rendon struck out his first time up. And the curveball fouled off. 0-2.
We've always said Matz has got to be careful throwing that slow bender. Well, here's the play from up above here. You get a view of the whole overview of this. And Harper gets a great read all the way. Here comes the poor throw. So I can nicely backed up by Cabrera. Cabrera's not backing up. Harper walks home. So good sound funded.
See, now what I don't know is Harper's got his back to that bad throw. He's being held up by his third base coach. So what was it that spurred him to try and score?
He makes the turn, Gare. He looks over his shoulder to pick up the ball, and he sees the ball loose, and he made a poor choice.
Like he had hesitated just slightly coming around the bag. Then,
well, he was held up.
Yeah. But Cabrera was in the right spot.
Correct, where he should be.
Right, that made it an easy play.
Those are the little things that win or lose your ball games, Gare.
2-2 to Rendon, and the curveball. Did he go? He did not. 3-2. Well, there's been nothing easy for Steven Matz. He gave up 2 runs in the first. He's given up a run in the third. In between, he had to work out of a big jam in the second. Already 52 pitches deep into his afternoon. Michael Taylor would be next. 3-2 coming, and that's in for a call strike 3. Down looking at a curve. Third strikeout for Matt. Second time he's gotten Rendon, but the Nats had a run on the Ramos hit and lead 3-1. As we go to the bottom of the third, Mets will have the top of the batting order coming up, and we check in with Doug Williams. Doug?
Gary, I'm sitting next to Edgardo Alfonzo, who's here talking about Mets fantasy camp every January in Port St. Lucie. The first week is booked. Second week, there are still spots open January 15th through the 21st. And Fonzie, what is it about this camp that is so fun for Mets fans?
You know, it's very fun. I mean, when you get to know where the Mets spring training is going to be every year. So it's in Port St. Lucie, Florida. And you had the opportunity to walk through the baseball field with the major league practice, and going to the locker rooms where they dress themselves. And I think it's I mean, me, it's my third time doing it. I really enjoy it.
And do you have to be an athlete? Do you have to be athletic? Jose Reyes goes deep for the second time in the game.
Jose Reyes, who led off the first inning with a home run, drills one down the line for his second of the day, his third of the year, to get the Mets back to within a run. Well, the Mets were looking for an offensive spark from Reyes, but they're starting to get long balls as well.
2 fastballs. The first one he hit to Central was away. This one bled over the inner half, and he was able to get the barrel out and pull it. So those are all great signs.
8th career multiple home run game for Reyes, who has a 3 home run game in his career. Did that in Philadelphia for the Mets.
I remember.
Let's go back to Doug. Doug?
So we'll talk about that guy who just went deep in just a second. But Fonzie, do you have to be an athlete? Do you have to be athletic to play, to sign up?
Well, I think Jose take his third base really serious, you know. Well, you know, no, you had to be a baseball fan to go to fantasy camp and enjoy it as a pro. Definitely, I mean, if you want to look good, definitely you have to take it like 1 week before you go into to the fantasy camp to get in shape. Definitely, you want to look good. But you have to love the game, and that's what we do it. I mean, that's what they're doing. They just go over there, have a good time, and then enjoy as much as you can.
And let's talk a little bit about Jose Reyes. You worked with him in Brooklyn at third base, which is where he's playing now. How did he look at that position to you?
Well, you know, the thing with Reyes is his natural ability is so good. And then one thing that I always told him is, now you're playing third base, and you're going to have more time to react to the ball. I mean, you catch the ball, you don't have to rush to third or first base, because that's what they call the high corner for, you know. And his natural ability is so good, then he makes it so easy. And then the thing that we talk about is like how you're going to position yourself. Don't go too low, don't go too high. Just be in a position that you're good to go from to the left side to the right side, and he's pretty good in that. So I think it's going to be easy for him to do it.
And when Wilmer Flores went 6 for 6 the other day, there were some reports that you called him to congratulate him. Did you talk to Wilmer after his big day?
Well, I told him, yeah, it's great for him. The only thing that I told him is he hit it 2 home runs, I hit 3. No, but I think it's good for him. I think if Wilmer, he needs that confidence, and he's been proven this what kind of hitter he is. And you know, I mean, I feel so happy for him because he deserves to have that kind of game and play a little more, you know.
And what are you up to now? How's everything going with coaching in Brooklyn?
It was pretty good. It's pretty good. I mean, you don't want to know the first game, the opening day, we played 20 innings, so that was a long day for me. And but I think we have a nice group of guys, new drafter. I think it's new flow for the new blood for the Mets organization, and so far so good. So,
Edgardo, we really appreciate you coming on. Gary, back to you.
All right, thanks, Doug, and thanks, Edgardo, who's remains an incredibly popular figure with this organization, and rightly so. He was a player who every day you watched him, you got a better sense of just how good a player he was. Great instincts for the game. He had more power than people thought. Couldn't run at all, but he played effectively at 2 different positions: Gold Glove caliber second baseman and third baseman.
Smart player.
Yep.
Heady player. Winner.
Meanwhile, Gio Gonzalez has been taken deep twice today by Jose Reyes. 2-2 now to Walker with 2 out. So Reyes, who had only 7 home runs last year in 116 games between Toronto and Colorado, 2 great home run hitting ballparks. He's already got 3 home runs through his first 22 at bats as a Met.
Oh, got him.
How did skip out of the way? 3-2.
Thought that got him. I don't know how it missed him. This is a serious tap dance.
Gio's already walked a couple. He got Walker to fly out his first time up, and he walks Walker with 2 out. So each pitcher has now walked 3 in the first 3 innings. A little more surprising with Matz, but 3 passes have been flowing. And Cabrera will try and do something with it. By the way, with the 2 home runs by Reyes today, the Mets have now hit 25 home runs on this homestand, which just extends their club record for the most home runs they've hit on any homestand in their history.
Pretty amazing. That's why they call me Amazing Mets, Gare.
Is that why?
Yeah.
Amazing, 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 amazing.
11 game home. No, 10, right?
11, today's the 11th.
Right.
Curveball misses to Cabrera. Cabrera hitting for a higher average right-handed, more power left-handed.
Which was usually true about switch hitters. Your natural side, you have more power, and you. When I talked with Ted Simmons, great switch hitters, solid switch hitters, Ted Simmons, Reggie Smith, the guys that I played with, they said they were better average hitters from the weak side because they had to work harder at it.
60 pitches already for Gio, working in the 3rd inning. And Cabrera gets one in the air to center field. Taylor is there. And that retires the side, but Jose Reyes goes deep for the 2nd time today. His first multiple home run game since his first tenure with the Mets back in 2011. 2 home runs for Reyes. 3-2 Washington after 3. Fourth inning, 3-2 Washington. Michael Taylor leads off the 4th inning against Steven Matz and takes curveball for a strike. Taylor walked his first time up, one of 3 walks for Matz, which equals his season high for walks. Taylor hitting 7th in the order. Danny Espinosa on deck. So if it gets a little quiet in here the next couple of innings or so, it's because our friend Irene from Mamas of Corona just dropped off an abundance of food
Yeah, too much, really.
Their unbelievable turkey sandwich and the Italian special and the cannolis and the cookies.
And these are mine.
The cookies are yours? So you're giving away the cannolis? Is that what you're saying?
Well,
I mean, they have the chocolate cannolis and the regular cannolis.
I love these. What are these things called? Neapolitan?
Yeah, the Neapolitan cookies. See, we have the cannolis here. We've got the sandwiches here. It's hard to beat.
This is why I can't lose this 10 pounds.
Gotta wait till the offseason. We'll have to share.
Do you want some?
Oh, I've got my turkey over here.
Okay.
That's good enough for now.
Oh.
Have you had their turkey with
Yes,
the
I have.
mozzarella?
Oh.
And you put the mushrooms and the red peppers on the sandwich?
It's very exciting.
It's unbelievable. That's drilled down the left field line, but foul. Well, how is this game going to end up? You got the two lefties struggling today. Matz and Gonzalez both have thrown a ton of pitches early in this game. Both have issued 3 walks in the first 3 innings. That's on the inside corner, and Taylor is caught looking at a 96-mile-an-hour fastball. That's the 4th strikeout for Matz.
We'll paint your wagon here if it's a strike. Oh, just he's got a gripe. That's a term. Paint your wagon. He painted your wagon.
It was a great Broadway play.
That's what yes. It was paint your wagon. The wind called Mariah. They called the wind Mariah.
They called the wind Mariah.
Yes.
It's Denny Espinosa. And he lines one at left center for his 2nd hit of the day. So Espinosa, who had been 0 for 11 in this series coming in, is 2 for 2 today.
I was born under a wandering star. Wandering star. Great musical. Good rip again by Espinosa. Line drive pitch up on the strike zone. Told you he's a high ball hitter, right-handed. It's belt high. Look how he stays level. Shoulders parallel to the ground. That's why he has success upstairs against left-hand pitchers.
It was Gio who bunted into a fielder's choice his first time up. And lays off that pitch up and away for ball 1. The Nationals, playing their final game before the All-Star break, have won 53 games. If they win today, they would tie the franchise record for most victories before the All-Star break. The 1994 Montreal Expos won 54 before the break. Of course, the 1994 Expos had a 6-game lead in August when the strike came and ended the season, which would have been the greatest season in Montreal history. And you can make the argument that had the strike not come in 1994 and the Expos had been able to play out that season, there might not be Washington Nationals, at least not these Washington Nationals, who 10 years after the strike moved from Montreal to establish the franchise in D.C. Nice bunt by Gio, and Matz off the mound makes the play. 1-4 on the sacrifice, moving Espinosa to second. Today's high-speed pitch comes from Verizon. Matz is topped out at 96 and Gio at 93. So runner in scoring position with 2 out, up to the top of the batting order for Trey Turner, who's been up twice and fly to center both times up. Turner had made 1 prior start for the Nats this year when he was up in early June. He was hitting 1,000 in the big leagues. He was 3 for 3 before today. Last year had 40 at bats for the Nats in his first trial. He was acquired from the Padres. You see there, June 2015. The trade was actually made the previous winter, but because of the rules at the time, you weren't allowed to trade a draft pick till a year after he was selected. The Padres had to keep him until the anniversary of his draft, and it was a very awkward situation. He was playing in an organization that had already traded him away. That's what he's done so far this year. Turner considered one of the top prospects in all of baseball.
25 stolen bases.
He's fast. We've seen him going home to first. He can fly. Played at the same school that produced John DeMarsico.
No.
North Carolina State. John is one of our valued production people. Catcher in his day. Turner gets jammed a little bit and flies one out to left center. Another play for Lagares. And that retires the side. A hit and one left. We go to the bottom of the fourth. Nationals 3, Mets 2. Brought to you by ChevyOffers.com. Mets are off till Friday after the All-Star break. Big road trip to Philadelphia, Chicago, and Miami. Starting on Friday. Mets won't be home for a couple of weeks. Terry Collins, because of all the uncertainty about his pitching rotation, has not announced his starters for the series in Philadelphia. That's very careful eating of the ice cream. Very careful.
Very good idea, because you can wash that hat and the kid has his little Met souvenir to boot. That's a double bonanza.
See, now, when you were a kid, did you like the melted ice cream? Did you like making ice cream soup? Lagares shooting one down the right field line, and that'll go foul.
I did not. Did you?
Wow. Very close, but foul. I went 2.
Did that ball? I'll tell you what, the ball's flying.
It really is. I was not an ice cream soup person, but a lot of people I knew where they like to stir the ice cream till it became all soupy and then eat it.
Ugh.
Well, I'm with you. Now there's cotton candy, which I love, and I know you don't really care for. Lagares pops one up in foul ground. Murphy,
jeez,
Tom Goodwin barely getting out of the way.
It's like, Tom, get the hell out of the way.
That's the first.
Jeez.
Tom didn't know which way to go.
And that's, close to interference. You got to move, Tom. Tom looks in great shape, but he's hurting down. His legs are sore. I know it. All those stolen bases over his career.
He could move in his day.
That stuff catches up with you. You look great, in great shape, but I know you're hurting.
He must have heard you. One out. Here's d'Arnaud. Fly to center his first time up. And he throws the curveball at the feet of d'Arnaud. Gio's given up a couple of solo home runs to Jose Reyes. He's worked around 3 walks, but thrown a lot of pitches early in this game. Gio Gonzalez, the all-time leader in wins at Citi Field for opposing pitchers, one more than his teammate Steven Strasburg and Tim Hudson. Strasburg got himself a victory night before last. He was dominant for 7 innings, going to 12-0 for the year. First National League starter in over 100 years to start a year 12-0.
Well, there's a reason why he's 12-0, and he had outstanding stuff last night. Threw very hard from the get-go throughout the game. Tremendous slider, tremendous command. Oh. Smile, Travis.
Well, if he hits one out where they're holding the sign.
Well, you know, he may have had a cold that day and didn't feel like smiling. People don't realize that, you know. Athletes get sick like everybody else. There's days you come to the park, you just don't feel like smiling.
Well, Travis is a serious guy.
You know, 3 for 30 don't make you feel like smiling either.
He flies this one out to center. Easy for Taylor. And there are 2 out. 4th put out for Taylor in center field. So Gio with a chance for his first 1-2-3 inning of the day. And now Alejandro De Aza, who had a very painful walk his first time up, fouled 2 balls off his leg, one just under his knee and one off the side of his knee. And he grounds one down to Murphy. He gives ground. Gio covers. 3-1 put out. And Gonzalez has that elusive 1-2-3 inning. After 4 at Citi Field, Mets down by a run. Well, on this date in Mets history, the All-Star game, 1984, and 19-year-old Dwight Gooden burst onto the baseball scene. Lance Parrish and Chet Lemon, Alvin Davis, all down on strikes against the precocious teenager.
At Candlestick Park, I was a part of that team. I watched from the sidelines.
Set a rookie record with 276 strikeouts.
84, Dwight had a great finish, if you recall. He was around 500 through August, into August, and then he just caught fire, and he couldn't be beat down the stretch.
And you guys were in an unexpected pennant race that year. You won 90 games.
Right. And so much for, oh, we got to protect our young arms. There's a guy that first year at the big leagues, 19 years old, 2 years removed from high school, Good breaking ball by Matz, and got stronger as the season went on in his first major league season.
That's with one of his few sliders so far today. Well, and of course, the next year he came out and had one of the great seasons in Major League history.
Yes, he did. 85 was his Cy Young year, and it was just a phenomenal treat to play behind him.
24-4, 1.53 ERA.
I enjoyed.
He was untouchable.
Yep, I just there's his numbers. 24-4. Look at that, 1.53, unheard of. And a guy that didn't hold runners on well, had a big motion home. He still beat the Cardinals with all that speed. That's how good he was.
Well, was it that year that he gave up 60 stolen bases?
Was it? I'm not sure.
It didn't matter.
No, it didn't. He was a freight train.
2-2 to Werth. And the curveball misses badly. So Matz, who walked Werth in front of Murphy last time up, in danger of doing it again.
I mean, they call Walter Perry Johnson the big train, and Doc was the modern version, his era of the train, the big train. I saw too many good hitters strike out. Tough strikeouts.
Murphy on deck. And Werth draws another leadoff walk. That's the fourth walk given up by Matz, which is the most he's ever allowed in his brief major league career.
Well, this is a upgrade lineup here. And there's a lot of mediocrity in the league, but this is not one of them. This is one of the upper echelon teams, and you've got to be careful with this lineup.
So here's Murphy, who, when he hit a two-run homer against Matz in the first inning, became the first left-hand hitter ever to hit a home run against Steven Matz in the major leagues. And he grounds a double play ball. Walker with the backhand flip, and Cabrera does the rest for the 4-6-3 double play. So after the home run, Matz twice in a row now has gotten Murphy to hit the ball on the ground, this time for two.
Tailor-made. And that has been a nice keystone combo up the middle for the Mets all season with Walker and Cabrera.
Keith, when you were playing, did anybody use that backhand flip among second basemen? Or
sure.
Is that something that you see more of now?
No, not at all, Garrett. When you're close enough but too far, it's quicker to give a quick little, it's like basketball pass, you know, almost.
Here's Harper, who walked his last time up. And he lines this one toward the middle, and snagged by Cabrera. It held up just long enough for his dribble to make the extension. And he takes a base hit away from Bryce Harper to end the top of the fifth. Just enough glove. Halfway through, 3-2 Washington. Fifth inning, Gio Gonzalez working with a 1-run lead. He'll face his opposite number, Steven Matz, leading off. Matz grounded into a double play his first time up. Jose Reyes, who already has hit 2 home runs today, is waiting on deck. And the fastball for a strike, 1-1.
You take Jose Reyes out of the lineup, and Gio's got himself a 4-inning shut piece going. You know, Gary, you asked me about that little side flip, if it's more prevalent in today's game, and I said no. But know what's most prevalent today that I noticed in the game is infielders, middle infielders, because of the quickness of the grass. It's like a putting green. It's so fast that shortstops and second basemen play on the outfield grass, around a foot off the dirt. Espinosa comes into the dirt, but Trey Turner stays on the grass. I see a lot of that in today's game because of the speed of the infields.
I mean, that's on the outfield grass with a pitcher batting. 2-2 to Matz. And he lifts one down the right field side. Harper over for a look, but that's out of play.
I mean, the days of going in the Wrigley Field when all the Cubs had was left and right hand sinker ballers, and they let the grass grow 4 inches and eat the ball up. Couldn't get a ground ball through the infield. Those days are over. It's just so much more for the hitter today than ever in my generation.
8th pitch of the at bat, and Matz lifts one to shallow center. Angling in is Taylor to get it, and that's the first out. Well, in your day, though, you had half the teams in the major leagues that were AstroTurf.
Was it half?
Well, seemingly.
It's a lot. I know that I counted.
St. Louis, Pittsburgh, Philadelphia.
If you count the year when San Francisco had it, which was only for a few years, if I recall, I think I played out of the 162 games in St. Louis. I played like around 128 on turf,
which I know, made your feet burn after a while, but
killed your ankles.
It certainly was an advantage for hitters. Especially gap hitters like yourself.
Yeah,
you probably got a lot more doubles playing on AstroTurf.
That's why Whitey Herzog tailored that club to speed and defense and pitching.
Reyes takes his home run cut and comes up empty. Jose has won 3 home run game in his career. It came in 2006 at Citizens Bank Park. Squirt himself right into the ground. And he takes another one that almost makes him fall over. It's a little much, Jose.
Does he want 3?
I think he does. Let's see if he cuts down his swing with 2 strikes. Two from Gio, and Reyes takes it low and in. He went around on the half swing.
Yep. Called aggressively by Marvin Hudson, the home plate umpire.
It's the 2nd strikeout of the day for Gio.
Yeah, definitely. He definitely broke his wrist. I'm surprised they haven't defined that rule in the rule book yet. That's one that slipped by him.
Well, Reyes, who appeared intent just on hitting a home run that at bat, is retired for the first time today. And now Granderson takes a strike. Curtis is grounded out twice. And has to bend away from the curveball. 1-1. Gio's retired 6 in a row since a walk to Neil Walker in the 3rd. And he pops one inside. 2-1. When you look at Gonzalez's struggles this year, one of the things that does jump out at you is that his fastball velocity is way down from last year. More than a 1.5 miles per hour lower than last season. Last year averaged 92. This year 90.3 average fastball.
Well, it's hard to quantify, folks, when Gary says a pitcher has lost a mile or a mile and a half on his fastball. To me, it's never in terms of miles per hour. It's in terms of actual time, ball out of hand from the batter's eye in the box. So I've said a million times up here that I had a lot of pitchers I faced that had great stuff, were a little wild, threw hard, and it were very difficult to hit. And then they took a little bit off their fastball to get a little more command, and it made them easier for me to attack them. They were much more difficult when they were raw power.
Now, that having been said, Gonzalez has been throwing a lot harder today. He's been 92 to 94 primarily with his fastball. So this has been one of his better days, velocity-wise. And Granderson draws a walk. Fourth walk given up by Gonzalez. And going to get Wilmer Flores to the plate with a man on.
So, just real briefly, one little quick one, and is up in regard to the mile per hour lacking as Wilmer comes up. It's just that, from a hitter's point of view, it's just an extra. Think about it. It's a 1 mile per hour, 60 feet 6 inches. So it's that extra split second that you have time to think and make a decision than you had in the past, and that makes a difference.
Tying run at first with 2 out. And Flores takes the letter high strike. Wilmer has walked and fly to right, 0 for 1. He's never had a whole lot of luck against Gio Gonzalez, just 2 for 16 against him. And the curveball bends in for a strike, and it's 0-2. Wilmer batting third in the order today and playing first base. And he strikes out on 3 pitches to end the inning. Gio Gonzalez with his 3rd strikeout. We played 5 at Citi Field. Nats still lead by a run. As baseball's biggest stars take the field at the 87th All-Star Game Tuesday on Fox. Coverage begins at 7:30. Sixth inning, Wilson Ramos leads off. Ramos had a base hit to drive in a run in the 3rd. That's the difference in the game right now. That's led 2-0, 2-1, 3-1, then 3-2. Ramos, Rendon, and Taylor for the Nats in the 6th against Mets. Meanwhile, Gio Gonzalez has thrown 95 pitches through 5 innings, and the Nats are getting their bullpen ready. Been a rough day for Matz in that he's walked 4 more than he's ever walked in a major league game. And Ramos lifts one to shallow right. Coming in is Granderson with the glasses down and puts it away. 1 out. So 1 out and nobody on. Out of Town Scores brought to you by Honda. Start something special with a great deal on a Honda. Marlins only a game behind the Mets in the standings. They're down 3-2 to the Reds in the 5th. The Cubs have lost 9 of 10. They're battling with the Pirates, who have been red hot. Cardinals just a half game behind the Pirates. They're 1-1 with the Brewers.
The Pirates have won 9 out of 10. So they've picked up 8 games in 10 days on the Cubs.
You see the late games. Madison Bumgarner pitched the Sunday night game tonight against the Diamondbacks.
And when we saw the Pirates, I thought that they were finished or going to have a really hard time because of their pitching. They can hit.
They certainly can. Rendon is 0 for 2, struck out twice. Takes a changeup for a strike, 1-1. Well, Tanner Roark, who has been in the starting rotation for the Nats, did not start in this series with the All-Star break coming up. He's available out of the bullpen today and getting himself ready.
Good spot for him.
On the corner, 1-2. Terry Collins was asked before the game today if any of his starters would be available out of the bullpen. The answer was a resounding no. Grounded slowly. Cabrera rushes in. Hop comes up for him, and he throws out Rendon 2 away. It used to be routine that starting pitchers would work the last day before the All-Star break, but with all the issues that the Mets have had with their starters, that's not going to happen.
It would, however the rotation would wind up, it would always be that guy that was 5 starts away would get work on the last day, because if he wasn't going to the All-Star game, he was going to lie dormant for 4 or 5 days. 4 days.
There's Michael Taylor, who's walked and struck out, and he grounds one toward the hole past Reyes and into left field. Taylor takes a hard turn and holds on with a 2-out single.
Just out of the reach of Jose. That ball was ripped. 6th hit off Matz. The only real big mistake, excuse me, Gare, was the hanging curveball to Daniel Murphy in that first inning. 2-run home run that got the Nats on top 2-0.
Well, in some respects, it's reminiscent of Matz's last start when he made one mistake to Giancarlo Stanton in the 7th inning that cost him a 1-0 lead and eventually the game. Espinosa's already 2 for 2 today. And Matz finds the inside corner, 0-1.
Got to keep the ball down from the right side of the plate on Espinosa. 18 home runs for Espinosa. Boy, oh boy. Who would have thought that? Your 8th hitter with 18 home runs and 49 RBIs. I think that's pretty productive from the 8th slot.
Gio Gonzalez is out on deck. And Espinosa tied up on the slider, and he went around 0-2. Matt started throwing a few more sliders in his last start against Miami. I think he threw 6, and he's thrown 3 or 4 today. It's a pitch that he's largely gotten away from since the elbow problems, but mixing it in occasionally. He's at 0-2 and checks in on Taylor, who has stolen 10 bases this year. Nats have 2 stolen bases today. Both have been steals of third by Espinosa and by Worth. Oh, 2, and he strikes out Espinosa. Went right back to the slider for his 5th strikeout. Nats threw 6, but he's down by a run. Baseball is brought to you by your Tri-Honda dealer. Hurry into your local Tri-Honda dealer for great savings on 2016 models. Mets are down by a run as they come to bat in the bottom of the 6th inning. Gio Gonzalez still out there, 95 pitches deep into his afternoon. Neil Walker will lead off against him with Cabrera and Lagares to follow. Mets have scored twice today on 2 Jose Reyes solo home runs. Nats went in front of the 1st inning on another Daniel Murphy home run and have led right from the jump.
Well, I got to think that Dusty Baker's looking to get one more inning out of Mr. Gonzalez here. Take it into the 7th.
We'll keep Roark busy in the bullpen. You got 2 switch hitters and then a couple of right-hand hitters. Gonzalez has already walked 4 today, and he's behind on Walker 2-0. Those pesky walks really been a concern for Gonzalez throughout his career.
Well, if he gets in any trouble, Roark is ready to come in.
That's pulled down to 3rd, and Rendon handles it. Oh, high throw. Murphy handles it. 1 out.
Stay down. Very nice. 2 hands. Never liked the underhand throw because that's what can happen. And it's also a sinker. I mean, we're professionals. We should catch that ball. But if you throw over the top, it's more of a true throw. I'll take that most days of the week.
Now is Drupal Cabrera, who has one of the Mets' 3 hits today. Single to left in the 1st. 1 for 2. Those are the overall numbers for Gio. But over the last 9 starts, 1 in 7, 7.66. So he has been pitching in a big hole lately.
The other end of that coin, other side of that coin, there's never an end to a coin. The other side of the coin, Keith, is that he in 12, this is his 13th start now, and he's pitched great here. 7-1 lifetime at Citi Field.
Might just be further along the edge of the same coin. To Cabrera.
So it's definitely noticeable the absence of Cespedes in this lineup.
Well, especially against a lefty.
I think anybody that loses a bat like Cespedes, any team, it's going to affect your offensive production.
Well, Terry will certainly hope that Cespedes is ready by Friday when the Mets get back in action. Right back to Gonzalez. And Cabrera retired 2 out.
Well, where Valenzuela looked up in the sky, Gio looks down. Very interesting. Used to always love Fernando Valenzuela when he'd go up over his head with his hands and he'd look up into the sky and come down with a big leg kick. It was a beautiful motion that Fernando had.
Here's Lagares, is 0 for 2. Struck out and fouled out. Juan now 0 for his last 12. Load up the bed. All-star breaks here. All the players will be scattering to the 4 winds after the game today. Players and coaching staff heading for the All-Star game. Have a charter flight heading to San Diego after the game.
I always stayed in town if I didn't go to the All-Star game, even when I was a youngster in St. Louis.
Terry's bringing his entire coaching staff to San Diego. which is not always the norm. But Terry felt as though he wanted to reward his coaching staff for doing such a great job getting the Mets to the postseason last year. Lagares hits it hard through the hole, and that snaps that 0 for 12. A 2-out hit for Lagares.
Only the third hit for the Mets. Of course, the other two are Jose Reyes, 2 solo shots. You see how Rendon got caught? That's a great shot right there. Can we run that again, guys? Not that doesn't have to be now, but it got. You want to be planted. Watch his right foot, Rendon. It's up in the air, and the ball's hit. You've got to be on both feet to be able to go left or right. And when you're caught in air, he was not able to get any kind of a jump to his left.
That's going to be all for Gio Gonzalez. Dusty Baker's going to make a double switch. Ben Revere is going to come into the game. And Revere will go to center field. And Tanner Roark will come out of the bullpen. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better with Time Warner Cable. We'll be right back to Citi Field. Five and 2/3 innings and 108 pitches. Leaves with the tying run on base. Ben Revere is in to play center field. Revere will bat ninth.
As the backup catcher, Lobaton does most of the catching for Gio. But Dusty's going to the whip here with his starting catcher and one of the best hitters in the league this year. Revere goes in center field.
Revere will bat ninth. Pitcher will bat seventh. Tanner Roark, first relief appearance of the season. He's made 18 starts after pitching as both a starter and a reliever last year. Travis d'Arnaud with the tying run at first, and Lagares draws a throw. Lagares is not an accomplished base stealer, but this would certainly be a great spot for him to steal a base.
Well, Roark, you see his numbers, I think having a great year. Remember, he was in the bullpen last year because of lack of too many starters.
Well, when they acquired Scherzer as a free agent, that pushed Roark out of the rotation.
And Roark won 18 the year before? Was it 18 or 15?
14.
14? So he did not respond well. It was a very transitional adjustment year for him. Did not have such a great year. Now back in the rotation with the loss of Jordan Zimmerman to the Tigers, and he's thriving.
15 he won 2 years ago.
15?
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I didn't think it was 14.
d'Arnaud twice has flied to center field today. Lagares at first and 2 out. Goes after the first pitch fastball, 0-1. Travis just 1 for 10 in his career against Roark. Roark now 29 years old. Last pitched on Wednesday against Milwaukee. Toward the middle of the diamond, but right there is Turner to play it, and he throws out d'Arnaud to end the inning. So Roark comes in, gets an out, and that sends us off to the 7th with the Nats still up 3-2. To start your weekday, join Suki, Scott, and the Pix 11 News team with breaking news as it happens. Linda Church has the latest forecast 6 to 9 on the Pix 11 Morning News, where every story hits home.
Oh.
First game?
Oh.
Good day for it. Get that binky. Ben Revere just into the game in a double switch, leads off in the 7th against Steven Matz. Revere getting the day off today against the left-hander. Now pressed into service. Trey Turner on deck, then Jason Worth, and Matz throws a strike. Stevens' 90th pitch of the day.
Nice to see him settle in, not get flustered and fall apart. Nice curve ball, as good as it gets.
One-two to Revere, and he taps one back to Matz, and Steven makes the throw on target, one away.
So as I was saying, it's nice to see him after that shaky start, the 2-run home run to Murph, giving up a run and 3 runs in the first 3 innings to settle in like this. You'd love to see that from your pitchers.
Here's Trey Turner. 3 at bats, 3 fly balls to center field. One more 8 and they'll have a heck of a poker hand.
It's a tough one to beat, Gare.
Well, in baseball, I guess the only way you can beat it is with 4 nines, because there are no face cards. Matz behind him, 2-0. And he gets the changeup in for a strike.
There's the motion. Not much. Very compact. Everybody's kind of like a dart thrower today.
So you're saying that pitchers, when you played,
I love dart throwers.
there were more with long arm action?
There was more. If I were to use golf, there you don't see an Arnold Palmer swing anymore. The unorthodox wind-up. Everything's spit out of a computer. And I love dart throwers because they're easy to pick up.
3-2 to Turner, and he flies this one to right. So a 9 to go with his 3/8, and that's the second out.
So in real time, we'll show the motion here. Watch the arm speed of Matz. All that acceleration to come forward, how it comes down, and as it comes forward, all that torque to get the action on the ball, to throw hard, to get the break.
Here's Jason Worth, who's been on base 3 times today. A single, 2 walks, a stolen base. He scored 2 of the 3 Washington runs. And a knee-high fastball for a strike. Matz has been getting better and better as this game has gone along. This will probably be his last inning. Fly ball center field. Easy for Lagares. And that retires the side. A 1-2-3 inning for Steven Matz, his first of the afternoon. Stretch time, 3-2 Washington. Ball is brought to you by Dunkin' Donuts. America runs on Dunkin'. In-game box score brought to you by Land Rover. Above and beyond, Jose Reyes, a couple of home runs, including one leading off the first inning. 17th as a Met, which ties Curtis Granderson for the franchise record. But the Mets have had little else. And the Nats have a 3-2 lead going to the bottom of the 7th. Washington trying to win 3 out of 4 in this series and build a 6-game lead in the National League East, which is where these two teams stood after the Nats swept the Mets in Washington a week and a half ago. Youngsters are out banging on wiffle balls. Fans are up and stretching, hoping that the Mets can rally against the Nationals bullpen. Meanwhile, Miami leads Cincinnati 4-3 in the bottom of the 6th. If the Mets were to lose today and the Marlins win, then the Mets and Marlins would go to the All-Star break tied for 2nd place. Steven Matz, 100 pitches in 7 innings.
Nice.
He's due to bat 2nd in this inning. And it looks as though Terry Collins has no thoughts about leaving him in. Kelly Johnson has already come out on deck to bat for him. Tanner Roark came in to get the final out in the 6th after Gio Gonzalez went 5 2/3 innings. Gio allowed 2 runs, 4 hits, 4 walks, 3 strikeouts, 2 home runs. Gio trying to become the first visiting pitcher ever to win 8 times at Citi Field. His lifetime Citi Field ERA is now at 1.64. Alejandro Diaz is 0 for 1 today. He's walked and grounded out. Johnson on deck to pinch hit, and then Reyes will get another crack at that 3rd home run. Hit the 2 home runs batting right-handed. He'll get a left-handed at bat here in all probability against Roark. So here's De Aza, who got the start against the left-hander today because of the injury to Cespedes, and now more comfortable facing a right-hander.
Well, we'll see how far Dusty goes with Roark. I wouldn't be surprised if he'd like to get him to work through the 8th inning, 7th and 8th as well, and go to his closer. But if there's any trouble, he's got 3 left-handers in the pin he can go to for a guy like Granderson. Turn Walker around. So we'll see.
Yeah, I could see him leaving Roark in as long as he's effective. I mean, he's a starting pitcher. He pitched 4 days ago.
I think Reyes has more pop right-handed, a better hitter right-handed than left-handed. I'd keep him batting, get him on the left side, get him out of that right side.
Well, there's nobody up in the Nationals bullpen, so clearly Roark being asked to pitch this entire 7th inning unless things start to transpire. Reyes due up 3rd in the inning. And Diaz with a check swing foul, still 1-2.
I would just at this point in the season where you got 4 days off, it's not going to hurt to have 2 guys up in your left and right side just in case there's trouble brewing. It's such a big game right here. Final 3 innings.
And another check swing foul. That's 2 in a row.
I think that got him on the knob of the bat, if I'm correct. And I would be correct.
Yep. If he wasn't choking up, it might have hit him in the hand.
Yep. I think it got him a little bit.
He's banged 2 balls off his leg today, 1 off the side of his knee that really hurt him, and that one buzzed his hands. 1-2 from Roark, and De Aza lays off the breaking ball. 2-2.
It's almost in that the Monty Python movie with the knife fight.
It's only a flesh wound. Breaking ball popped up into shallow center. On comes Revere, and he gets there to make the catch. 1 away.
Oh.
Now Kelly Johnson will be the pinch hitter. Kelly got a couple of at-bats on Friday night off the bench and went 0 for 2. And a double in the opening game of the series Thursday night. Kelly's done a terrific job since coming over to the Mets in the latest deal from Atlanta, hitting .314 as a Met. Chases that one 0-2.
2 pinch hit home runs since joining the Metsies.
0-2 from Roark, and he struck him out on 3 pitches. 94-mile-an-hour fastball got him. So Roark has faced 3, retired 3.
High fastball.
So now Reyes, who hit a long home run to left center in the first, drilled one down the left field line in the 3rd. It's starting to rain.
Wow.
As Reyes steps in and takes low and in for ball 1. He was clearly over swinging in his last at bat, looking for the 3rd home run, and he struck out. But now maybe will be a little more disciplined. With 2 out and nobody on, a 1-0 count. And he takes it outside, 2-0. Reyes has a 3 home run game in his career. It came 10 years ago for the Mets in Philadelphia. There's a strike. Curtis Granderson on deck. 2-1 coming. And he pulls one toward the hole.
Nice.
Great play by Turner, and he throws him out. Trey Turner flashing to his left and making a nice play to throw out Reyes. And the Mets are down 1-2-3 in the bottom of the 7th. Turner showing off his quickness. 3-2 Washington as we go to the 8th. Tri-State Buick dealers go back 2.5 minutes.
The bullet off.
Turner made this play.
Off the bat of Jose Reyes, going for his 3rd hit. I was robbed. Nice play.
Trey Turner, first game back in the big leagues after being recalled on Friday. Jerry Blevins, the former National, will make his 3rd appearance in this series. He'll face Murphy, Harper, and Ramos in the top of the 8th. There's your Toyota line score. Murphy's 2-run homer in the first put the Nats in front, and they've been in front ever since. Murphy's 7th home run this year against the Mets and his 3rd in this series. And a first pitch curveball flied out to shallow right. Walker going back. Playing very deep, and that served him well. 1 pitch and Murphy retired.
Similar curveball that he hit out of the ballpark, Gary, but this one was off speed and got Murph out in front.
Murph is now 0 for 9 in his career against Blevins. So 1 out and nobody on. Bryce Harper coming up. Harper's 0 for 2 and a walk. He was robbed of a hit on a lunging grab by Cabrera his last time up. Harper 1 for 4 against Blevins with a home run. So the rain that came a few minutes ago started quickly, stopped just as quickly, and the sky is clearing. Last night the game ended in a torrential rain. If the game had lasted 1 more batter last night in the 9th inning, would have had a substantial rain delay. And during the at bat with Alejandro De Aza at the plate, Wilson Ramos went out to the mound to talk to his pitcher. And everybody in the ballpark watching thought that's it. He went to the mound. They're going to stop the game now. But they threw, I think it was 1 or 2 more pitches after that, and the game came to an end.
Ghostbuster.
Who are you going to call?
Haven't they got a new Ghostbuster out? All female Ghostbusters?
Yeah.
They should be able to ghost bust. Absolutely.
Get this thing right side up. There we go. I think that works. Up, up. This is not working. 3-1 to Harper. I think we got it.
It's like, Mom, help.
Mom left him to his own devices, which is probably a good thing. Because how else is he going to learn? Here's a strike, 3-2. Steven Matz went 7, allowed 3 runs, 6 hits, 4 walks, 5 strikeouts, a home run. It'll be Matz's 8th straight start without a win after 7 straight starts with a win. But the last 2 or 3 starts, Matz has looked much more himself. Three and 2 to Harper with Ramos on deck. Bryce lifts one toward the left field corner. A long run for De Aza. And he makes the running grab. Nice play, De Aza.
His body takes another pounding off the padding.
He's had himself a physical afternoon.
Hot tub.
He's got 4 days.
Put those jets on.
Break.
Put the jacuzzi jets on.
So Blevins gets the 2 left-hand hitters out. Now his work is done. And the Mets go to the right-hander to face Wilson Ramos. So Terry Collins takes the baseball. Addison Reed is coming into the game. We're in the top of the 8th, 3-2 Washington. Call to the bullpen brought to you by Time Warner Cable. Enjoy all the things you love better with Time Warner Cable. Brought to you by Land Rover. Daniel Murphy, a 2-run homer in the first inning, continuing his barrage against Mets pitching. And that put the Nats in front, and they've stayed in front. We're in the top of the 8th inning with 2 out and nobody on, and Addison Reed will try and get the final out of the inning.
Well, Reed has just been phenomenal this year in this role of the bridge to the phenomenal all-star Jeurys Familia. Look at those numbers, and they do not lie. He has been solid.
Reed pitched in the opening game of the series Thursday night. Got 4 outs as the Mets protected the lead and eventually won 9-7. Wilson Ramos 1 for 3, drove in the third Washington run back in the third inning. And he skies one on the left side. Cabrera waiting for it to come down. And that retires the side. So Blevins and Reed combine for a 1-2-3-8. Now the Mets come up in the bottom of the 8th with Granderson to lead off, down by a run. Great Gray Bridge, also known as the GW. Next Picks telecast Saturday when the Mets take on the Phillies. Coverage begins at 6:30 with Time Warner Cable pregame right here on New York's home for baseball, Picks 11. Ever read the story when you were a kid about the troll who lived under the George Washington Bridge?
No, I did not. I grew up on the West Coast. How am I supposed to know that stuff?
Yeah, they don't have bridges.
They didn't have trolls in the Golden Gate.
Well, Mets down to their last 6 outs, trying to rally and avoid getting beaten this series. Curtis Granderson will lead off in the home 8th against Tanner Roark, who's faced 4 in relief and retired them all. Granderson's 0 for 2 and a walk today. Flores and Walker to follow. Mets have a lot of left-handed bench with Nimmo and Loney both available. 0-2 to Granderson. Kelly Johnson was already used as a pinch hitter. And Roark misses up and in, 1-2. Gio Gonzalez went the first 5 2/3. Roark picked him up from there. And Dusty Baker looks like he's going to ride him. Inside, 2-2 to Granderson. Still nobody throwing in that Nationals bullpen. Roark an inning and a third deep into his outing. His first relief appearance after 18 starts. 2-2 to Granderson, and the curveball hit in the air to center field. Revere ranges over. 1 out.
Well, this is what Roark does. He puts the ball in play.
So now Flores, Wilmer hitting in the 3rd spot in the order today against the lefty Gonzalez, went 0 for 2 and a walk. He'll stand to face the right-hander because he's 2 for 7 in his career against Roark. Fly ball left field. Playable for Worth. 2 out. Around the Majors brought to you by Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Centers. Marlins have extended their lead over Cincinnati 7-3 now as they play in the 7th. Giancarlo Stanton has his 20th home run in that game. Cubs have lost 9 of 10. They lead the Pirates 5-4 going to the 7th. And Jose Quintana going to the All-Star game replaces Danny Salazar. Quintana, pitching for the White Sox yesterday, beat Julio Teheran. It was the first ever matchup of starting pitchers from Colombia in Major League history. It was huge news in Cartagena, and Quintana won that matchup. Here's Neil Walker, 0 for 2 and a walk, and he takes a swing at a fastball, 0-1.
I like Roark. Just comes after you. Big, strong kid. Stocky. Sneaky fast. Don't ask me why I know that. I can just feel it.
You can feel sneaky. Should be a detective. Roark quickly ahead on Walker 0-2, and he gets him with a breaking ball. Side retired. 7 up and 7 down in relief for Tanner Roark, his second strikeout. On we go to the 9th, 3-2 Nats. Baseball is brought to you by Land Rover, above and beyond. By Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center. By Honda, start something special with a great deal on a Honda. By Geico, 15 minutes could save you 15% or more on car insurance. Visit geico.com for a free rate quote. By McDonald's, download the McDonald's app today for exclusive offers and coupons. And by Buick, experience the new Buick at your Tri-State Buick dealers. Anthony Rendon leads off the top of the 9th against Addison Reed, who came on to get the final out in the 8th. Rendon is 0 for 3 today, just 2 for 14 in this series.
He hasn't swung the bat very well this series. The Mets have kind of contained him.
He had been a hot hitter coming into the series. Pitcher spot due up next, and Stephen Drew is out on deck to pinch hit. The Nats 3 runs, 6 hits. The Mets 2 runs, 4 hits.
I got to ask you a totally unrelated question to baseball, and we won't, you know, it's a tight game here, but I just have to ask out of curiosity. That lovely voice of yours. Did you go to voice school?
No.
How did you work on something to get that voice so rich?
No.
It just comes naturally?
I will tell you this, although this is probably a better story for another time.
Well, make it snappy.
I will try my best as Rendon lifts one to deep left center. Back in the gap goes Lagares. He's got room on the track to make the catch. One long out. When I was a kid, I had a very thick New York accent.
Really?
Yes. I would say chocolate and coffee.
Really?
Yes. So when I also had a lazy L. I had trouble pronouncing the letter L. I would say L, like Tom Brokaw, right? As a lazy
Okay, gotcha.
Very similar. When I went to work for Sports Phone, where you had to read 30 scores in 58 seconds, enunciation was key, and that's really what taught me to lose the New York accent and drop the lazy L.
Okay. Makes sense.
But the sound of the voice is the sound of the voice.
So you just brought your fan base closer to you. They feel closer to you.
Gathered them up. It's your flock. I just hope to share them. Stephen Drew pinch hitting. Drew Flata was a pinch hitter in the opening game of the series. And Drew flies one out to right, and Granderson goes back onto the warning track. Two batters, two warning track fly balls, two outs.
Well, we were talking in between innings, Gary, about Dusty. Would he keep Roark in and go to Papelbon, or let or pinch hit and go to Papelbon? And it's obvious he's going to go to his closer.
Yep. Just pinch hit for Roark. So Papelbon's getting ready. Roark was tremendous. Faced 7 batters, retired them all. Mets will have Cabrera, Lagares, and d'Arnaud due up. They've got Nimmo and Loney available as left-hand pinch hitters on the bench. Here's Espinosa, who's 2 for 3 today. And tries to drag a bunt and fouls it off. 0-1. I just don't understand this. 2 out and nobody on. You've got 18 home runs on the season. Why in the world would you be thinking about trying to bunt your way on?
Agreed.
I mean, if ever you're going to be selling out for a home run, it should be in this spot.
Exactly. Unless he's been tied up in this series. Got 2 hits today.
Both as a right-hand batter.
That maybe he feels lousy at the plate and just trying to get on. Who knows?
Well, he has struck out 9 times in 14 at-bats in this series.
That'll get you to grow that beard back.
Then we'd have to change that great graphic we had on the defense today and unshave the beard. That was one of the highlights of the season.
We have to show that again.
If people weren't watching earlier, we had the hirsute Mr. Espinosa, and we had him graphically shaved as he stood at shortstop.
Sans the beard.
Pop foul and out of play. 2-2. Oh,
There we go.
We've got a replay. A revisiting.
There he is. Shortstop.
It's fantastic.
Very well done.
That's going on the Emmy reel, you know.
That's free advertisement for that razor company.
Here's the updated picture. 2-2. Struck him out. Good slider by Reed. So 4 up and 4 down for Addison Reed. The last 10 Nats have been retired. Can the Mets make something of it against Papelbon? Mets down by a run as they come to bat in the bottom of the 9th. Mets will try and break the storm clouds in the bottom of the ninth. Down 3-2. Mets won the opening game of this series. Nats trying to win 3 in a row. And Jonathan Papelbon, who saved the Friday night game, is on to try for number 19.
Well, 18 of 20 on the year, just off the disabled list. Recently, not the hard thrower he used to be. He's more finesse now.
Saw him throw a lot of fastballs, though, in that game Friday night. Asdrubal Cabrera will lead off. He was the final out against Papelbon with a fly ball to left on Friday. Cabrera 1 for 4 today. Mets have had only 4 hits this afternoon. And Cabrera, first pitch swinging, flies one out to center, and Revere goes back to get it. 1 pitch and 1 out. Jonathan Papelbon, 367 career saves, now 35 years old. Brandon Nimmo will bat for Juan Lagares. Nimmo getting the day off against the lefty, went 0 for 4 last night. 2 for 10 in this series.
The right move here, get a speed guy with nobody on up. You still got Loney on the on the bench, left-handed with a little more pop.
Nimmo goes after the first pitch fastball, so both Cabrera and Nimmo aggressive in these 9th inning at bats against Papelbon.
Well, pinch hitting here, down a run you don't want to take.
Papelbon threw a lot of fastballs the other night. You don't want to let him get to his splitter. And so the Mets have attacked early. Now it's 0-1 to Nimmo. Oh, inside, almost hit him. 1-1. Daniel Murphy gave the Nats the early lead with a first inning home run against Steven Matz, and the Nats have been in front ever since. One and 1 to Nimmo. And a check swing, foul tipped it. It's 1-2.
Well, he really throws 3/4 now, doesn't he? That's where he gets that ball to sink and run away from left-hand hitters. Young hitter, a splitter in the dirt here.
1-2 coming. And he struck him out with a high fastball. Wow. All fastballs from Papelbon. 2 out and nobody on.
Just upstairs and threw it by him twice. He's late.
So the Mets are down to their final out with Travis d'Arnaud coming up. d'Arnaud's 0 for 3 today, 1 for 11 in the series.
And the Mets are in danger of dropping 3 out of 4 at home against their division rivals.
And they would fall to 4-9 on the season against Washington. Mets began this homestand 7-1. But they're 1 out away from 7-4. That's hit hard, and d'Arnaud keeps the Mets alive with a 2-out hit. So all 3 hitters in the inning attack first pitch, and d'Arnaud comes through with a 2-out hit. Now you got De Aza coming up, the pitcher's spot behind him, and so you got James Loney. Right, if De Aza can keep it going.
There you go. Right down the pipe. A good level cut by d'Arnaud. They are way off the line. Rendon at third base. And I see a lot of this in baseball today. And gosh, you don't want to give up a double down the line.
De Aza 0 for 2 and a walk today. And he attacks the first pitch and fouls it back. So 4 hitters in the inning. All have gone after the first pitch fastball. Clearly, Kevin Long and Met hitters have devised that game plan against Papelbon.
Well, he throws strikes, and you're going to get fastball.
d'Arnaud the tying run at first with 2 down. Mets with their backs against the wall in the 9th.
Nice.
And the splitter is in for a strike, and it's 0-2.
Beautiful splitter right there too. You see the action, the sinking action. And this is right to the, just got the call.
So now the Mets are down to their final strike. 1-2 to De Aza. Loney on deck. He'll pinch hit if Alejandro can keep it going. De Aza had 2 hits last night. It's been a painful day for him. He's fouled a couple off his leg. Hit one off his hands. He hit the sidewall hard going after a fly ball. He keeps the at bat alive by fouling off the fastball.
Well, I tell you, I just would not give up that left field line, that third base line. Rendon, he was way in the hole on the left of your screen there at third base. God, you keep the ball. I know you got the left fielder Worth way over, so you can probably cut down the double down the line, but boy, oh boy.
One-two from Papelbon, and De Aza takes that up and away. 2-2. Two coming, and that missed, and just barely. 3-2.
It did. Close. Ooh.
So now an automatic start for d'Arnaud. Better chance to be able to score on a double.
So Murphy still holding the runner on, not playing behind. That's amazing.
Leaves the hole open on the right side. 3-2 on the way. Struck him out with a splitter, and the ball game is over. The Nats take 3 out of 4 in the series. Daniel Murphy had himself a field day in this 4-game series. Murphy with another 2-run homer, his 7th this year against the Mets, and Gio Gonzalez and the Nationals bullpen make it stand up as they take 3 of 4 and go to the All-Star break with a 6-game lead over the Mets in the National League East.
Well, Murph hit his 17th home run, 3rd in this series, and mostly fastballs, 1 splitter in between, but goes 3-2 and goes to the well for a splitter to get De Aza to fish to end the ball game. And this homestand really ends on a sour note, Gary.
Mets won 7 of the first 8 on the homestand, but then Murph arrived in town and he just put a thrashing on his former team. Murphy hit 3 home runs in the series, drove in 10 runs, and almost single-handedly helped the Nats win 3 out of 4 in the series and rebuild the 6-game lead they had after they swept the Mets in Washington a week and a half ago. Game summary brought to you by the Summer of Jeep. Gio Gonzalez gets his 5th win, his 8th career win at Citi Field, more than any other visiting pitcher. Papelbon his 2nd save of the series. Jose Reyes 2 home runs for the only Met offense of the day as Washington wins 3 straight after the Mets took the opener of the series Thursday night. Mets now 6 games behind Washington, matching their biggest deficit of the year in the National League East. 3-2 the final. Nats win it today. We'll come back with more from Citi Field in just a moment.